So let me ask you a question. Would you rather have employees that are happy or employees who actually care? Because it's not the same thing. In fact, one of the biggest mistakes that organizations make is often thinking that if employees are satisfied, that they'll actually be engaged. But that's not the case. So in this video, I'm going to break down the difference between employee satisfaction, employee engagement, explain why it matters, and where you want to focus your time, energy, and effort for the biggest impact. If we haven't met before, hi, I'm Chris Littlefield. I spent the last 20 years training leaders at top companies around the world, from L'Oreal to Colgate-Palmolive to the United Nations, how to do the little things every day that have their people feel seen, heard, and valued so they show up and do their best work. So what's the difference between employee satisfaction and employee engagement? Let's start with employee satisfaction. Employee satisfaction is about how employees feel about their job conditions. Things like their pay, their hours, their work schedule, job security, and their general work environment. In simple terms, satisfaction answers the question, am I comfortable here? And here's the key. An employee can be satisfied and still not actually care. Think about somebody who shows up, they do their job, they put in their hours, they don't complain, they collect a paycheck at the end of the week, and they go home. They're not unhappy, they're not complaining, but they're also not going above and beyond. They're not providing extraordinary service. They're not supporting other people on other teams. They're not deeply invested. They're just showing up. That's satisfaction. Now let's look at engagement. Employee engagement is about an emotional commitment. It answers a different question. Do I care about this work, these people, and what we're trying to do here? Engaged employees take initiative, look for ways to improve things, speak up with ideas, support their teammates. They care about outcomes and not just their tasks. They don't just work here, they're invested here. And here's the most important part. Engagement isn't about the perks. Engagement is about the connection. Connection to the work, the team, the leader, and the impact that we're making. Here's the simplest way to think about it. Satisfaction says, I'm okay, where engagement says, I care. Because you can have a team that's completely satisfied and really not doing anything. And on the surface, things will look fine. People are showing up, they're laughing together, they're having a good time, except customers are standing there not getting service, work's not getting done, and people are still collecting a paycheck and going home at the end of the day. And on the other hand, engaged employees are showing up, are serving our customers, our patients, our clients, are working with each other, are moving the business forward and helping things grow, and are getting paid fairly for doing it. And if you're a leader, this distinction matters a lot, because sadly, many organizations or leaders fall into the trap of investing all their time and energy in trying to provide other perks or to try to take the work environment to the next level. And those things do help if people are already engaged. They're the icing on the top that makes the cake a little bit sweeter. But if the base things aren't there, it's not going to make the biggest difference. I once watched an organization that I was working with. It was a bank out in the middle of the East that invested over $200,000 to be able to increase people's lunch benefits so they could have a little more that they could go out and buy lunch with, thinking that that mattered. Well, then they did the engagement surveys and it didn't make the biggest difference. And most people didn't even know it happened. So many times we can invest a lot of time and energy to try to improve the perks to make people more satisfied when it doesn't move the needle on engagement. So what does? Engagement comes from something different. It comes from people feeling like who they are, what they contribute, and what it takes to their job each day matters. It's about people feeling like somebody here cares about me, my work, and helping me accomplish what I want to accomplish. And when those two things, the goals of the business and the goals of the individual, align to move both people forward, that's where we get engagement. And one of the things that's also important to remember is engagement is not a result of one-off things that we do. It's a status that somebody else grants us based on their experience over time. So if you want a simple place to start, go to beyondthankyou.com, scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, and we'll put a link to this in the video description as well. And you'll find a 10-question team assessment. And these are the 10 things that I find are most important to create an environment where people feel seen, heard, and valued. And you can fill that out both as an individual, and if you want, send it out to your team and have them fill it out. And you'll get a clear understanding of where you're strong and where you need to work. So after you do the assessment, one of the things that you may realize is that if we have a lot of employees who are satisfied and not doing their job, that's not an engagement problem, that's a manager problem. That means that we haven't been having the conversations to be able to set clear standards of what's expected of people. We're not having the conversations that lift people up to higher performance. We're not showing people what good looks like, and we need to develop the skills to be able to do that. And if we do, we'll spend a little less time having employees that are happy and a little more time with employees who are engaged. And if you want help in developing as a leader or help in developing the leaders in your organization, then reach out to me at beyondthankyou.com.